Praxis.
Praxis.
Surely it has to be, right?
Praxis.
As long as they took...
Battlefield, Ballistix.
They gave up.
Choice.
They went for the first pick, and honestly, that is a huge surprise to me, knowing that, you know, so much is on the line in this position for HeroesHearth Esports, and they aren't willing to kind of, you know, maybe bust it out. That being said, I didn't feel like they were that dominant when looking at their play within Praxis, even in North America, so I kind of don't hate that idea. It's purely just, can you catch Ballistix off guard?
Does Hanzo make it through? And if so, HeroesHearth is the team that will be like, you know what? Hanzo, Kron, please carry us. We will run double support so that you can do that. And that will happen here.
Well, gentlemen, it is time. This is potentially the last lifeline here for HeroesHearth. They have to win this, or they are eliminated here from the Mid-Season Brawl. Currently 2-1 to Ballistix.
So, as we head in, once again, Ballistix only played this map once this tournament, and they did lose. So they are feeling confident here. If they can take that Hanzo away from Chrome, would also be a pretty big deal. But here on this map is where we can see some of Chrome's other heroes, like Li Ming, potentially come into play.
See, but that's the thing is, if you don't take Hanzo, you can 100% guarantee that SC will. And so that has to be in consideration. Malfurion, Garrosh, give it all up, because if the Hanzo on this battleground, if you were talking about post-nerfs, or ignore nerfs, right? I mean, he's still incredibly strong here. Furion straight away removed the Garrosh ban as well. Maiev has been left alone, but in this case, it's the Hanzo instantly.
This is a huge pickup for HeroesHearth Esports for all the reasons that, you know, Jay Howe ended up listing. But I do want to bring to light that even though there is a winning record for HeroesHearth Esports when looking at BOE in North America, they almost always lose the early game and fall behind and get a miracle skirmish they're able to recover.
The Team Freedom game.
Yeah, and Ballistix is not going to let that happen. So yes, this is comfort, and yes, it does cater to the map and everything of the like, but I would still look at this and go, HeroesHearth, you have a lot to prove.
And I think the big case here now is that we've seen this time and time again. Ballistix is going to probably want the team fight comp here.
Yes, and HeroesHearth will pick an Uther in their double support. And if you're looking at potential that Ballistix could run, it revolves around a potential Tracer or a Genji. And Genji, by the way, I looked up this morning before we got here. I believe in League play, Genji on Battlefield of Eternity sat somewhere like a 26% win rate. Obviously, this is Ballistix, a whole other thing, but Genji has not traditionally done well on here. But again, Uther is a priority for HeroesHearth if they opt to run the double support.
Final seconds, the Genji does come out, the team fight comp has begun, and Blaze stealing it away from HeroesHearth, trying to put some pressure onto that solo lane by Ballistix. I do enjoy them stealing away the Blaze, because it has been performing pretty well, although they haven't won most of the games, but it has been looking all right. That bunker can really shut down a team fight comp.
That's what they say here in Sweden. You know, you can't spell team fight without Genji. I hear the Swedes say it all the time. They say it all the time. I don't understand it, but that's what they say. I just heard it in the grapevine.
I will say on the note of the Blaze, one thing that does provide is if we are assuming a double support coming out from HeroesHearth Esports, the long sustained fight is going to be higher chances to be able to hold its own. You know, Blaze is one counter initiation with the, you know, Heroic coming out from one support and then being able to get the reinitiation there and hopefully finding a reset in the second one. So it's not really a bit of a deny from the comfort that we see out of North America, but I think it's, you know, keeping in mind if this happens, we're ready for it.
If we're looking in the Uther here, who is the other support? Because this is a pretty decent map for Lunara, and if Uther is alone, then Lunara could be a huge problem for HeroesHearth unless they ban it out in this phase.
Well, that's the thing, is that Uther right now, you cannot solo Uther on this if you're running this style of composition for HeroesHearth. Other teams we've seen get away with it, but you're basically committing to the double support at this point. And this is the part where it's like, well, we're not just going to pick Uther. So it's up to Ballistix right now. If I want to narrow that choke, by the way, this is also a team. I don't know if this is going to be the case against a Genji. This is also a team that's run Lili. It's normally been with a Medivh. I don't see that happening here, but needless to say, HeroesHearth has definitely shown their hand.
The ETC is a little bit interesting because normally you'd question with the Garrosh off the table, would that be what we want to see them pick? Because this is debatably one of ETC's better battlegrounds with the kind of zoning and control opportunities and self-sustain around the immortal fight. So with that in mind, I go, the intent has to be, you know, that Johanna once again for Hooligan, synergy pretty well there with the Blaze. You know, sadly, Hanzo has been taken away from SC to get that massive wombo combo they're so successful with here. And then there's that Zeratul ban again with the response of the Uther on the side of HeroesHearth.
I like that ban a lot. It takes away, I mean, Heroeshearth has run a solo Uther in the past. It's just towards the later part of the league play, there was definitely a double support. Obviously, Hanzo at that time still had a much stronger level 4 in terms of that bonus damage. It's still pretty high up there. So I think they can fully commit to that, but Ballistix obviously has something to pick here. Li Ming, we know, double reset potentially. You look at Korean teams, double reset plus Li Ming does well on this battleground. So there is something to consider if we do see that picked up for SDE.
I would like to see them potentially flex their damage as we move in and leave that as the last pick here. Maybe lock in your main tank and the support now. That way you can react with the Li Ming or the Lunara depending on what the second support of Heroeshearth is.
How many times have they played Decade Ballistix at all? Or
Just, I mean, one earlier, but I'm not sure before that. I'm checking now.
What do you think about Li Ming Decade? Any thoughts?
I mean, it's very method-esque, right? With the kill opportunities available.
It's nothing like that.
It would deal with the sustain pretty effectively. Instead, a bit more comfort there from Magi and friends. One thing I do want to raise with the ETC ban that I think now looking at it even more so, I think is really clever, is one of the biggest trade-offs to double support is that you don't have that much effective kind of off-laning opportunities, and denying a double side soak capability. You know, normally we do still see the mosh pit, but there is an option to kind of deviate away from that. So it's a double denial of, you know, gaining the advantage through a macro sense that Heroeshearth might be able to rely on.
I want to ask you, surely with an Anub pick there, you're almost saying to Heroeshearth, please take Li Ming. On a map like this with their comp?
Yeah, but if you pick Li Ming, can you double support?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
The answer is no?
I don't think that I think this is one where they have to either... Karazim comes to mind, obviously, when you talk about this battleground. BBJ, we saw what he did with it not too long ago, but if it's going to be something else, it might get a little wild, but...
Kassadar for clear speed on Cocoon.
I think it's a full support, honestly. Karazim, maybe, if we're... Yeah.
You called it.
Karazim, yeah. This is Heroeshearth in a nutshell. The Tyrael pickup, a little bit surprising to me, but then again, they're not necessarily worried about hard CC. They have the stun from Uther, maybe a spear. If you get the land, it's more of a skill shot, but this is definitely protect the Hanzo composition in all facets here.
So this is a very frontline heavy team, but also the pressure onto the backline can be very scary when there's a Karazim on the board. This can be punishing to both Li Ming and Lunara, so both of those options become a little bit less appealing, but with everyone being grouped up with those shields from Tyrael, I'm still quite liking the Li Ming.
Dread?
I'm sorry, I'm not so concerned about the last pick as I am. I'm thinking about this Tyrael lock-in. Sorry, that's where my mind's been. Is mainly that Ishbu, this is the first Tyrael we've gotten from him, and I talked about earlier that Ishbu is one of the best Tyraels that exists in North America as a whole. But Korea is also the best region at stopping sanctification. They kind of created the sanctification, if you will. And I feel like this is going to be a moment where we see, you know, North America not being used to getting punished over specific things. Mainly I'm looking at Hooligan with the interrupts on his impale, and then Magi there on the backline with the lurking arm. I don't know if we're going to see the same Wamo combo. And again, Heroeshearth falls behind in the early game with this composition. Korea never wastes time on Battlefield of Eternity. We know them to be the region that go, this is a 10-minute game, before we knew 10-minute games to be a thing.
I agree with Dread, because when it comes to this, obviously Hanzo gets that spike at 4, but it really comes at 7 when you get the cooldown reduction on that. So their race is low. I think that's why the Karazim came into play.
Right.
So one thing I'll caution people to watch is that Arthalon is an insanely aggressive player when he's on Uther. He will walk in and he's like, I'm Uther, let's go. And so when you have that, I think it's going to be very important for BBJ to watch his positioning, because if you get the Anubarak charge in and both of your supports are there and you get the lurking arm, that could spell disaster for Heroeshearth in the early game. So I think it's going to be very important for Arthalon to reel it back a little bit, or BBJ to be very careful with his positioning.
Time for predictions.
It's Battlefield of Eternity, and we see the slow play. I have to go with Ballistix here. They're on the comforts, and I don't see enough there from Heroeshearth Esports, even though it's what they like.
Hanzo, Battlefield of Eternity, it's a sure bet most of the time, and it's Heroeshearth double support. It hasn't failed yet. Hanzo, pretty high. I'm going to go with Heroeshearth one more time.
Bit of a mix-up now. Let's get going.
I'm going with Heroeshearth. I believe in the Hanzo. The double support looks so good. The pressure from Karazim could be such a clutch play here.
The captain stays steady with his ship as he goes for Ballistix once again. I didn't even say it and you put it on. All right, like that, that's fine. So let's see what Twitch chat says as well. 2-1 at the moment for Ballistix. Where's Twitch chat gone? The flip-flopping continues. 66% to the 34%. That's fine, Twitch chat. We love what you bring to the table as well. Let's check in with our commentators who are going to bring us game number 4. As if we didn't know already who's in this series. Kaldor, Trixler, what do you think?
Hanzo on BOE, it's hard to go against him.
It definitely is, but the team fight potential that we have from Heroeshearth is pretty fantastic. And outside the Phoenix pick, that looks like a Fnatic comp to me. And
Yeah,
Stukov, like the engagement they have is pretty good.
All right, boys. Well, enjoy it.
All right, we will here as we go to game number 4. Heroeshearth is potentially on their last line here. See if they can hold off against Ballistix and get the series all tied up so we can get a game number 5. Let's do it as we head to BOE.
Battlefield of Eternity, map number 4 in the series, and this time we have Jongha on Blaze. We have SC on Genji, Stukov, played by Magi, Hooligan at that front line with the Nubarak, and SDE on Phoenix. Ladies and gentlemen, Ballistix!
Crowan will be playing Hanzo, McIntyre on Sonya, Arthalon on Uther, Ishbu on Tyrael, BBJ on Karazim. It's Heroeshearth. The love continues to pour out for Heroeshearth in our crowd.
Yeah, much love as Heroeshearth is playing with a double support here. They have Sonya, they have Hanzo. Their race potential is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
The question just remains, can they keep those alive?
Can they keep him alive, and can they control the Immortal phase? Ballistix looking to come out firing, though, early as they go for a 3-man rotation in the top lane and get on top of a turret. But Heroeshearth is here to meet him as they slow them down and stop that turret from falling down.
Yeah, really well done. And Ishbu also meeting the rotation of Anubarak here immediately, identifying that too. So that was a great start for Heroeshearth. Ballistix was aggressive, they were trying to burst the tower down, but the reaction was there immediately.
Now, I'm wondering when Ballistix will be able to get the fights that they want. Early game, sure, you can get the engages, you have the Impale, you have a Burrow charge into a Lurking Arm, and if that coordination's on point, Genji can typically get a pickoff. But I'm looking towards that level 10 more often when that Cocoon comes online. Is that where Ballistix will have their strength?
Yeah, the thing is, if you have a full double support, the interesting part to me is simply that normally with this composition that Ballistix is running, a lot of what you're trying to do is you snipe a target while you are putting the support either into a Cocoon or you're incapacitating in someone else. And the silence, of course, comes to mind too. But now if you don't get both of them, there's always going to be that lifeline that one of them can throw. In particular, if Karazim would decide to go into Palm over a 7-sided.
Jongha, though, in trouble as he's trying to go for a retreat. Jet Propulsion will be able to give him to sneak by a little bit, but finally, due to turrets, able to get on home. But Heroeshearth able to pop out that Pyromania as they continue to focus on clearing the bottom lane and keep putting pressure on that top lane. SCSC will have to back up, and that gives them an opportunity here to contest that bottom lane, and Tyrael is already on the way.
Yeah, Tyrael is on the way, and he's not the only one. Arthalon is moving in, Tyrael is ready for it, and they're going immediately for an Uberak. And with that damage output, Hooligan just has to back off, and that's an insta-camp for Heroeshearth. Great invade by them and a very, very good read early on in the game.
Good movement and wise macro coming from them consistently. Heroeshearth now able to push out this bottom lane, and in about 20 seconds, we'll see our team start to work on those Merc camps that are on the side, which will definitely be helpful around the Immortal phase, especially for the Hanzo team if they're able to buy just enough time to clear it out. The main focus here is to get that level 4, which they are about to land on. Ballistix gets it first, but Heroeshearth is right behind.
And that double support setup is going to make it very difficult for Ballistix to get these kills, especially since we're not talking about a Tacita as the second support. We're actually talking about a full-fledged double support here for them. And there's also, of course, that on-point damage that Karazim provides. That in combination with Sonya can really make the difference if you're trying to look for a kill yourself. Especially, of course, when we're going towards Blaze or when we're going towards someone like Stukov. The big problem for me is that Ballistix has a lot of great tools available as well. They have the bunker, they have Blaze, and that's just oftentimes a huge game changer.
Wow.
Okay.
And Ballistix immediately deletes the target here as Tyrael gets picked off. That Lurking Arm you just mentioned into the Hooligan engage is just enough for them to get a quick pick.
But that's the problem here. That's a bit of a misstep on Ishbu's side. The problem really being that if you run a double support setup like this and you go up against a Nubarak Stukov composition, you need to make sure that when Ballistix flips the switch, one of the supports, if not both, are close by, and that wasn't the case here. So he gets picked off, he gets isolated, and both of the supports are just a step too late to do anything about it, and that sets Heroes Hearth now back. But in terms of the Immortal Rise, they're actually still doing really fine, and now they're starting to push Ballistix back towards the left.
You can't forget about the Hanzo factor. SCSC trying to do a little bit of harassment on the top right corner, but Heroes Hearth able to turn on him and get him low, and we are going full race here with 4 on the left on the Immortal. Heroes are trying to clear out as fast as they can, but Ballistix is going to be able to actually... No, it's actually Heroes Hearth that grabs it. Wow! The Shadow Arrow coming at the last second. 200 health.
Hanzo pretty good.
Pretty good indeed there. So he'll be able to have a push here in the beginning. Now, Ballistix did pretty decent on their race. They should be able to clear this out, but they have to deal with the pressure of being pushed in, obviously. As mentioned by Jay Hal, the major problem for Ballistix will be the level 7. Whenever we get that cooldown reduction coming in from Hanzo, that's when it gets worse here for Ballistix.
And I mean, at this point, of course, you don't really have a shield on the first Immortal. It's the weak one as well. Doesn't scale at this moment, but you still get that front wall, and the first turret is down. The second one should fall here in a few seconds as well, and that gives at least a small advantage experience over to Heroes Hearth. But at the same time, Ballistix is getting a bit aggressive, and look to see if they can maybe get a kill here. Blaze is rotating over too.
Quick cleanup, but pretty close on experience as we both head towards level 7. Heroes Hearth is starting to dash away, though, as Jung Ha is looking for that fight.
Crone is having none of it.
He's not even going to chance.
Jumps out.
I mean, you have to, right? When you have a hooligan coming at you and you have that knock-up and then an immediate follow-up into a silence, you can't natural agility away, so you gotta go for that immediate retreat. Even with double supports, that combo is deadly, and Heroes Hearth is making sure to respect it, especially after they lost Tyrael.
And I really like how they played this right now. McIntyre still has to get out of this situation, but once that he saw Blaze at the bot lane, he immediately said, guys, I got the camp at the top. Nice juke against Hooligan stun. That was fantastic. Helps him to spin the win, and the rest of Heroes Hearth is moving in as well. Hooligan is low. SE lost the shields, but the North Americans are still retreating here as Ballistix is moving in. The silence is there, and they get the knock up against Tyrael, and the kill follows.
What a tug of war, as Heroes Hearth is looking to fight back, and Tyrael trait trying to go off, but nothing hits, and SDE goes forward. Crow will be the next target. Natural agility just coming up as Arthlon gets knocked up here by Hooligan, is able to escape to his fort as Sonya runs to the bottom lane, but Ballistix is showing that they have the coordination to answer back if they're able to get to that first initial push from Heroes Hearth.
These kills are so important for Ballistix. There are so many defensive layers for Heroes Hearth. It's insane. You have Karazim, you have Uther, you have Sonya survivability with the Whirlwind, and then you have the shields of Tyrael too. So getting these kills is really impressive by Ballistix. Very nice coordination and great calling there as well. Just calling the targets, and the on-point damage is there, and that's what they need to do throughout the entire game.
Experience continues to be neck and neck between these two. 8.25, almost 8.5 in experience, but it's Immortal time, and Hanzo should be able to step up and start poking. Now, the Immortals are in defensive spots for our team, so Ballistix rotating a few over, but also leaving a few in the lanes here to get experience. All they have to do is watch Hanzo.
And we have to once again state it, for Heroes Hearth, everything is on the line here. We are in the lower bracket. They are already a map down. This is a best of 5. If Ballistix takes it here, they will fall. Uther is in trouble. The silence comes true, and Uther goes down. They're looking for the second kill here against Karazim, and it looks like SC might be able to complete it. The Ghost still healing it up, but BBJ's in so much trouble.
BBJ staying alive, and SCSC gets taken out as Hanzo's able to find the kill. Tyrael helping out with that Druins as well. Heroes Heart turns around, gets a pick, and now we're in a 4v4.
The sustain is there, and Uther's trade helps them out here. They engage into the Immortal, but the stuns are also on point. Once again, we're seeing Ishbu trying to push them away, and of course there's that Hanzo factor, but they're in a full defensive position for now. They're waiting for Uther. He's making his way back in. Sonya pushing out the bot lane, trying to get the extra experience. Level 10 would be fantastic for Heroes Hearth.
Sonya trying to get the experience, as you mentioned, but is it worth it here? You're not close enough to level 10. You're going to get about 9.5, 9.75, but you're not fully there to level 10, and now McIntyre is a target for Ballistix. Ballistix come over, they get the stun. They don't get a kill, but at least he puts some attention in the bottom lane. BBJ steps forward, puts some damage on SDE.
Hanzo again with a constant poke here, and both of the teams now looking at 9.5. They want the heroics. They want to make sure that they have them first, as Crone is just continuing to poke here. And Arthlon always around. Uther always there for that quick heal. And now we have Ishbu moving to the top lane, trying to help out BBJ, give him a dash target if need be.
This is intense. It's a race to 10, and Ballistix wins that race. They hit 10 just barely. Heroes Hearth taking some time in the top lane. The Immortal, you're right, heavily in the favor of Heroes Hearth, continuing to poke away. They have the time here to soak their own level 10.
And they have the salvo now as well. And Heroeshearth, and they're going for Palm, they're going for Divine Shield, they're going for Sanctification, layer after layer after layer to survive these team fights, to put Hanzo in a spot where you can't take him down, where he will get the poke, where he will win the Immortal for his team. And Ballistix is sitting there and they're saying, we can't race, we have to defend.
They are defending. Hooligan goes in, immediately look at Hanzo. There goes the knockup, going Infestation into the silence with the Divine Shield. Comes out just in time. McIntyre puts some pressure on the back line.
Coordination is everything for Heroeshearth now. Make sure that you don't stack your ults. Make sure that you don't throw out the Palm and the Divine Shield at the same time. They have to talk to each other. Communication is so important. Here comes the arrow. Here comes the move. Sanctification comes through as Tyrael is in trouble. The Palm is also hitting him. Cocoon comes out as Ballistix is trying to go for the kill against Crone. Ishbu and Crone both are so low. The Cocoon gets blown up as McIntyre is retreating here. But the Divine Shield is not ready as we're seeing Genji just slicing away, getting the kill, getting the reset, getting the double, and going for the triple kill.
SCSC decides he wants to get some kills. He pulls out the Dragon Blade, and that's going to be 3 taken down as Ballistix keeps all 5 alive. Bunker even for a potential dive on Arthalon, but Ballistix, they pull away, realizing they got their kills and they're wanting to win the Immortal race. But McIntyre has a different plan. He goes straight for the Immortal, but the shove comes out just in time. McIntyre has a low amount of HP. He finally falls, and the rest of Ballistix turns to the Immortals.
Magi is moving and he says, get the hell away from my Immortal. Make sure that it survives for now. And we have Ballistix trying to claim the objective. And they played that team fight so well. They forced out the Divine Shield early as Hanzo was in trouble. The combo was there. Then shortly after that, we see Tyrael trying to use that Sanctification, getting it through, but at the same time, we have the Palm hitting. And just a moment before, we talked about how important it is to not stack these defensive layers that they have here. And that was well done by Ballistix, baiting them out. And then once they knew everything's on cooldown, they full engaged into Heroeshearth.
Now the good news for Heroeshearth, once again, is they have Hanzo on this battleground. If they can find the angles here and clear out this Immortal, they'll be just fine. Ballistix needs to get in front of this Immortal or at least slow down Hanzo. The problem is there's walls in the way. They can't fully push their way on through, and it looks like Heroeshearth will have the defense, but they have to be careful of the dive from Ballistix. At any moment, Hooligan can move in after an impale and try to force a fight.
Great juke by Ishbu. Immediately as Anubarak starts to make his dive, we see Tyrael sidestepping it. And they even save the fort. That's actually fantastic. Great defense by them. It's low and it will fall eventually. But for now, that makes sure that Ballistix is not hitting 13 just yet. It gives Heroeshearth a little bit more time to try and soak experience themselves. And they can actually take the camp even.
They take away the camp, but 13 finally hits for Ballistix as they clear out the top lane. They won't mind those Impalers. They can clear those up on the bottom lane pretty easily, especially with Phoenix here for defense. But Heroeshearth needs to find out, how are they going to get a full level of experience before the next Immortal phase? Can they snipe a turret somewhere? Can they maybe look at a fort, or can they get a pick?
They have to stay so calm now. This is really a moment where the adrenaline is pumping. You know, if you lose here, you are out of the tournament, and that's the moment where they have to be calm and collected. They have everything they need here. It's 7 kills against them, but with all the defensive layers that they hold in their arsenal, they can definitely sustain themselves throughout these team fights. Put Hanzo in a spot where they just snipe the objective. Keep everyone alive, snipe the objective, and then try to snowball it. But right now, Ballistix is looking for a kill. They're looking for a fight. The silence is there, but the Palm connects.
The Palm connects, and they'll be able to get the kill as they pick off Uther. They drive the back line here, but SCSC is tanking up Fort. Tyrael has the Sanctification available. Ishbu is looking for the chase. Can he find SCSC? SCSC is able to get away as BBJ comes in, but the Swift Strike is enough, and now Heroeshearth is trying to retreat.
They're on the run here. Ishbu and BBJ, they're in so much trouble. Sonya still out pushing the bot lane, trying to get experience. They know that they might fall. BBJ playing with the vision, but it's not going to help him. He gets sniffed out as Tyrael already dies.
Staggering.
SDE is there, and yes, he is definitely going to stagger that, and that's a huge problem, because it means that once again, the first part of the objective phase will go to Ballistix. Karazim falls, and the immediate turnaround onto the Immortal from Ballistix.
It was juking it about some time, but it may have been too much. For 20 seconds, Karazim won't be on the field, and Ballistix will take the initial start on the race here and be able to get ahead. There's a little bit of damage coming out from Heroeshearth, but they're not going to be able to keep up.
And they still don't have level 13, Tim.
That hurts.
Yeah, this is a rough moment for Heroeshearth. This is a massive, massive problem. They still hold the fort at the top lane, but this Immortal is going to do work. They're not exposing Hanzo. They're not trying to go for counter pressure. They're in a position where they know they can't die now. Karazim is on the way back. They have all of their heroics ready. The same is true for Ballistix. And Heroeshearth at level 13 is fighting, but they lose Tyrael early. Tyrael goes down. Stukov adding so much value with these silences. McIntyre is in trouble. Zoned up by the bunker. He goes down. down. It's a double kill. And
the body block
is going for the show again. The Divine Shield is through. And once more with a salvo, we are seeing SD confirm another kill. Hanzo falls, a triple kill. It's a quad kill as Heroeshearth falls apart in game number 4.
Heroeshearth thinking that they had to put it all in one fight, and that fight was completely lost. Top lane's already being pushed in here by the Immortal. Arthlon's going to stagger the step that SCSC will be able to grab that kill, but look in the top lane. This fort's already been cleaned up. This Immortal is at full health and has half a shield as they look for a keep wall. There's a 3-level lead for Ballistix.
Ballistix struggled in the group stage. They won only half of their games, but right now they are eager to go straight to the next round here. 2-1 score on the board, and Ballistix is moving in for the first keep and potentially the core. They're looking for the kills. They get the silence in. Ishbu with a late sanctification here, saving his teammates for now. The keep about to fall as we see Ballistix engaging again.
And the Immortal is still healthy. Crowan trying to do as much damage as they can to it, but SCSC goes in with the Dragon Blade, immediately going straight in for Arthlon. Arthlon goes in for the stun, and there's going to be a Dragon's Arrow into a cocoon, but the Immortal, it's already on top of the core, and it's dropping the shields.
Shields are getting dropped here, and the hit points are falling rapidly as Heroeshearth is somehow trying to defend. They're going in again. They have to, but it's only 20% of the core. Phoenix goes down. It's not enough. Their core falls as Ballistix takes the game, takes the series. GG! Ballistix with a 3-1 victory over Heroeshearth. A great fourth game by them. Really dealing well with the cooldowns that we saw on the side of the Americans. Baiting out the palm, baiting out the Divine Shield, the Sanctification, and then the snap engage, and they cleaned house.
The theme really was at Ballistix, and every single one of their victories just showed the coordination that you need to be able to compete at this tournament.
Yeah.
Being able to have a Nubrak charge in, move into a lurking arm, and get the silence and find a kill was the strength that was needed there, and Ballistix just showed that time and time again. The North American team just couldn't keep up.
It was absolutely fantastic coordination that we saw from the Koreans in that last game in particular, and I'm sure we're going to hear a bit more from our analyst panel.
That's right. Congratulations to Ballistix keeping themselves alive in the tournament. And commiserations, of course, to Heroeshearth Esports, who do now bow out there, but were able to take that one map off Ballistix, which isn't too terrible considering. But Ballistix looking very, very strong to start things off here, Dread.
Yeah, I would say I'm honestly pleasantly surprised with Heroeshearth. I did not think, I expected like a 3-0 or 3-1 in favor of Ballistix, but I did not expect every game to be nearly as competitive as it was up until I feel like that last one that kind of got out of proportion, which again, North America is not known for its Battlefield of Eternity play, so I'm honestly impressed with Heroeshearth after that series.
A terrifying rundown there when you're going up against a team fighting composition like that, and SC with some of those final plays, Jay Howe looked fantastic as well.
He just went in and he had it laser locked on every time. I mean, that's why his win rate, I believe, was like 80% in league play on that Genji.
Yeah.
Just a very strong hero with a very strong player behind it, and a lot of that was the setup, though. Magi making plays, Hooligan making plays, and you can just see it's an easy dive, but there are individual plays that he definitely made there that stood out.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I wasn't really feeling the Tyrael there, the Angel of Justice. I really thought the shields and the double support would be enough to really like dissuade SCSC. Nope, SCSC just ran over them in that game. And Tyrael just could not get enough sanctifications off because of the silences.
They seem to dismantle them pretty well, 1, 2, 3, with good focus fire. Dre, what do you have for us?
Exactly that, the kind of dismantling here. And the biggest thing is to highlight the initiations here. Every lurking arm is set up with a 2-man body block between a Nubarak and Genji, and it just leads to eternal death. That was the first breaking point throughout this game here, which, I mean, it has some clever ending. You know, BBJ actually almost to get the Uther heals enough to be able to get the trade into SC, and then if we end up scrolling through here, the second one is the exact same situation that happens on the top half of the map. Lurking arm goes down, and then the double gap closer to make sure they get the body block. BBJ, you can hit a palm, but you can't get past those body blocks. And that is, I feel like, a lot of the reason that we saw success here from Ballistix. Not only the lack of hesitation, which is needed into a double support. They're amazing at sustaining in the long run, but also not letting them get in position to, you know, hit a good Divine Shield or a good palm.
Yeah.
And again, always body blocking them within that silence. It was very well done by Ballistix.
What do you guys else think of what that was? Whoa, that was some weird English. Don't do that at home, kids. What do you think about Ballistix coming into this game? They were able to perform extremely well, and just even the overall series.
I will say this, is that yes, they win 3-1.
Yeah.
But I don't feel it was as dominating as I would have hoped for or expected coming into this tournament. And I don't know if that's more of a testament to Heroeshearth, who has stood their ground incredibly well.
Yep.
or whether Ballistix still has question marks on where we think their ceiling is. Clearly they're moving up, but I'm still not entirely sold. They have it very much well within them, but I'm not entirely sold yet.
Yeah, that last game is the only one I actually felt comfortable saying this is a Ballistix that could go to the finals and maybe win the tournament. Every other game, they did struggle. They did have problems. So got to see what they can do to overcome those problems in the coming series.
Well, we can talk about it more in a moment, but for now, let's hear from the winners as SCSC is ready for an interview.